Good morning, everyone out there. It feels great to be back in this seat. We've had kind of a really busy weekend with a lot going on.
My guess is if we were to look back over all of our YouTube entrances.
It's a lot, we got a lot going on.
I'm guessing each one is we had a really busy week. We had a really busy weekend. This is a busy season.
Yeah, there's probably never a time where it's hey, we didn't have anything to do all week.
This was a chill week. We don't say that very often.
We're coming back from vacation sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
But we did a marriage conference in Gray, Georgia, at Elam Baptist Church.
Had a great time.
Yeah, really good time. We did 4 sessions on Saturday, which is, it's a lot. It's a lot a lot of speaking. My voice for the last session, I was like...
Yeah, my voice was getting weak.
Well, and a lot of great conversations between sessions during the breaks and lunch and all that, so...
But it's also a lot for people to ingest. It's a lot for them to listen to all in one setting. Yeah. But they took it well. They handled it well, I thought.
Well, and we always try to highlight, hey, you're going to hear a lot of stuff. Just try to grab one thing. Mm-hmm. Grab one thing that you can do something with, because you're not going to be able to take and use it all at once. So it was great. Got a lot of good feedback from it, a lot of great questions, good conversations. And so I think it was a helpful time for everybody who was there. And then Sunday, I spoke at that church's, it was their homecoming Sunday, which for those of you that do not live in the Southeast, you may not know what in the world is a homecoming Sunday. Yeah. And it's just like a big celebration where everybody who used to go to the church comes back for one Sunday. And it's a really big deal in the South, and especially in that area of Georgia. But they were celebrating their 217th year anniversary at the church.
That's hard to even contemplate.
Yeah, you're going back to right near the Revolutionary War type stuff.
I think it was 1808. Because I looked it up to see when does that mean that they started? I think it was 1808.
Yeah. So our church here, Beachside, is 10 years old. And I'm speaking at a church that's 217 years old. So that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But always a great time whenever we get together with Adam and Megan.
I think that was one of my very favorite parts, was getting to know them, getting to know their kids, and just talking.
Yep, hanging out for a little while. Mm-hmm. One of the ladies in their church let us use a cabin she has out in the middle of the country, out in the middle of nowhere. It was very peaceful.
It was a cabin in the
very
woods.
Relaxing.
Seclusion.
Yeah. So that part of it was really nice, get a little rest. But the drive home Monday was insane. So it's a 5-hour car ride from our house to there. And it took us 10 hours to get home. Now, we stopped for lunch, but still.
I don't usually get frustrated in a car. I'm pretty easygoing. This one had me really annoyed. Well, and all of the traffic jams happened during my leg of the drive that I drove.
After lunch, yeah.
Yeah. And so
it was a lot of just sitting
5
there.
5 hours, more than 5 hours of sitting there. This accident, and then we got through that accident, and then there was another accident, and a third.
Yeah.
3 at least, 4 maybe.
At one point, Lysandra fell asleep sitting there in traffic, and I'm like, babe, move forward 2 inches.
I fell asleep at the wheel. Thank God we were stopped completely, but...
That's why you fell asleep, though, because we were just sitting there forever.
It was so long. I got so sleepy, but anyway, that was rough.
So that was nuts. And then we got back Monday. Yesterday, we were sitting here in the morning like we do typically.
Having our coffee time.
And we're all just chatting, and I'm going around, and I'm like, what do you got going on today? And Catherine had a bid to do. The other girls all had nothing. You had a couple paint bids you were going to go do in the afternoon, but...
I was able to reschedule one, and one they canceled on me, so...
So I canceled what I was going to do, and we just went to the beach and spent did it like a half family day, went to lunch before everybody got busy with volleyball and other things. But it was like, hey, we've got an opportunity here to focus on what's most important, spend some time together as a family, because it's getting increasingly more rare. Yeah. Isabella's going to be going off to school, taking her a week from tomorrow. So we'll probably be talking about that a little bit once it actually happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a great weekend, busy. It was nice to take a day yesterday and just kind of chill out for half a day before we jump back into the thick of all of it. But here we are this morning.
In the thick of it.
We're going to be talking about sleeping with the enemy. So conflict and sex and all those things and how they go together.
If you have kids around, this is probably not the episode you want the kids around for.
Yeah, unless you want to answer some questions, have a little conversation that maybe you're not ready for. So, all right. Any other stuff to share before we jump in?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas, and this is my amazing co-host, my wife, co-founder of Family Meeting, this amazing woman, Lysandra.
Hello, and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 255 of the Family Meeting podcast. We are so happy that you're tuning in with us today. On today's episode, we are going to talk about sleeping with the enemy. So this is going to be a pretty raw episode. You may not want your kids in the room. You may not want them listening.
But here's the thing. Like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So if you're sleeping with the enemy, would you also be sleeping with your friend? But if you're sleeping with your friend, that's not really your enemy now. So how does that work?
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
That would be like sleeping with your spouse's enemy.
You are your spouse's enemy in this context.
Wait.
So sleeping with the enemy,
enemy.
enemy of your enemy, sleeping with your friend, right?
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
mind blown.
Is this actually a bad thing or a good thing? I don't know.
Okay, so ignore what Thomas just said because it is a bad thing.
They usually do. Let's be honest. People are usually ignoring what I have to say.
If they're smart, they are.
You don't have to ever say that. They're like, yeah, we already were doing that.
But we are going to dive into a very emotionally charged topic. And
kind of raw and revealing episode.
A little bit. I think so. It's sex that feels disconnected, duty-bound, or adversarial. So this is not an episode for kids to listen to. So here's your warning. We're giving you a little bit of time to turn it off or pause it or put the earbuds in. But here's basically what we're talking about. What happens when physical intimacy becomes a source of resentment, pressure, or avoidance? Instead of closeness, the bedroom becomes a battleground. And if sex has become a source of stress instead of joy in your marriage, then this episode is going to help you address the root issues and take some steps towards restoration.
Well, and I think if you've been in a relationship for any amount of time, you have had sex where it was just like, this is my duty. I just got to do this.
I got to do it.
Yeah. So hopefully it's not like that all the time. And if it's like that a lot, this is exactly what we're talking about.
If it's like that all the time or frequently even, there's a problem. It's not okay. You really shouldn't keep going that way.
Yeah.
Like, let's figure out what's going on. Let's work towards restoration. Let's work towards making it better.
Because there's times where we're all tired, exhausted, busy, and it's just like, I'm not really into this, but for you, I will do this right now. Mm-hmm. Right? So,
all right. So how many times have you done that?
I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
It's happened.
Ballpark.
Less than a ballpark.
How many times? Okay. How many seats are in a ballpark?
A lot. That's what I'm saying. Less than that.
So how many times have you slept with me out of duty?
Probably less than you've slept with me out of duty.
No doubt.
So
I still want to know.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yes.
Probably 5 or less.
Okay.
Times where I was just like, I'm really tired, but.
All right. And it's been 22 years of marriage.
She's really into it. It was like, hey, we've only had it twice this week, and it's 3 times to thrive for her. So
we're not a healthy marriage unless we've had sex 3 times a week.
Make sure she's not freaking out over here. So those of you that listen to the podcast know Lysandra used to keep track. And
I used to think that was very important. Like, if we had sex 3 times a week, we were a healthy marriage. If it was less than that, we were not a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
And so that led to a lot of issues,
So,
mostly for me. But
she stopped keeping track.
yeah, which has been a much happier, healthier marriage.
But before we get into the full conversation here on sleeping with the enemy, I don't know what that was. If you were watching YouTube, I was doing hand gestures, but I don't really know.
Sounds really dirty in the topic that we're talking, hand gestures.
Yeah.
It was just like weird. Nobody knows.
I don't know what it was.
He's weird today. I know what it is.
We're talking about sex.
We're talking about sex.
Yeah.
Whenever we talk about sex, he gets weird and excited and happy.
I'm into it.
He loves these episodes.
This is a lot more fun than just talking about communication or conflict resolution. I mean, it's conflict resolution.
There's going to be in there, yeah.
But, coming at it from this angle is a little more fun.
Right? That's what they say.
Yeah, so.
Basically, you're more engaged because of the topic.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is.
I think all dudes are more engaged whenever it's a sex topic.
Okay.
They're just like, what are you going to say?
All right, well, then let's do it.
Well, yeah, we will. But before we do that, you made a post this morning in Family Meeting Community that I thought was kind of funny.
Okay.
You said, and it's something from Bluey. I don't know who this dog is. Who is this? You know which dog?
I think that's Muffin, maybe?
I don't know what dog this is.
Muffin is the cousin who's really naughty, and everybody calls Isabella and
those
Muffin
of you who are
family.
on YouTube, I know we're kind of far away, but maybe you can see who this dog is.
It's not Bluey.
I don't know the dog, which dog it is, but
it's kind of like orangey, like pale orange.
This dog is like laying there sprawled out in bed. Waking your kids up for school the first day after a break is almost as fun as birthing them was. So, you posted that, and so I said this.
Yeah, which you should be slapped for this.
So you are saying it's easy, right? Is that what you were trying to say?
No.
Because I saw you, like I watched you give birth multiple times, and the thing is, you always want to do it again. So I'm like, it can't hurt that bad. Because there's never been a time, they often compared getting kicked in your manhood as giving birth as the same thing. There's never been a time where I was like, you know what, I would love to get kicked there again. Never. Or when I've had man cold. There's never a time where I'm like, you know what, I would love to get man cold again. Which is, everybody knows, is way more severe than childbirth.
I don't even have a desire to speak with you right now.
Why?
Because, having this conversation with you it just brings a lot of rage.
Yeah. Some people just can't handle the truth. You know what I'm saying? So they just...
Ladies, I'm sorry. Listen, here's what I want women to know.
They just can't handle it.
This could be the first time somebody tunes in. And if this is the first family meeting episode that you listen to, first of all, listen to something else. Listen to another family meeting episode. But also, I want you to know that Thomas likes to say things that he knows aren't true just to make me angry.
I mean, I like to keep it real.
He's trying to get me fighting. He wants a reaction out of me, and that's what this is. Yeah. So I want everyone to know this is not the real Thomas.
And yeah.
I mean, the real Thomas is a jerk, but
totally. But it's, that's one of those cycles I'm trying to break.
Are you?
I mean, yes. So,
you're not doing well.
I know, but that's why I'm excited for September 4th, because we're kicking off our group coaching cohort on breaking the cycle. So whatever it is that has you stuck, you weren't meant to live that way. Whether you're stuck in shame, stuck in secrets, stuck in the same destructive cycles you swore you'd never repeat, it's time to break the cycle for good.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this group coaching is all about. And so I want to encourage you, jump in today, familymeeting.org/shop. There's two options there. We're talking about the group coaching today has access to a private Facebook group where everybody who's going through this will be in there. You're kind of working, growing, breaking cycles together. There's something about having that community instead of feeling like I'm all alone in this. And a lot of times that's why we don't break cycles, is because we're all alone in it, or we feel all alone in it, and then we just give up. Like, what's the point? I can't do this. But when you have people around you who are encouraging you, they're challenging you, they're helping you take your next step, you are more likely to break those cycles. So jump into that today. We're going to be getting started that just a few weeks away now, but you can jump in now and get head start in the Facebook group.
Sounds good. All right, so we're calling this episode Sleeping with the Enemy because for many couples, sex has stopped feeling like a shared expression of love and has instead become something transactional or tense or even painful. And when you're in a season of low desire or feeling misunderstood or wondering if you're alone in your struggle, this conversation is for you because sex is meant to connect, not divide. But if it's been a long time since you have felt like sex was about connection, not division, then this episode maybe can help you. Or at least get you going in the right direction.
Right. You're not going to walk away from the episode and just everything's going to be fixed, but you could take some steps to get back to a healthy place. Yeah. And, you know, there can be a lot of reasons that you feel divided in your relationship. And because of these different areas that are causing division, sex literally feels like sleeping with the enemy. So
I have felt this before.
Okay. Share with us.
So I'm the kind of person, and I know not all women are like this. It could be men or women who are like this, but basically, when Thomas has done something that hurt my feelings, that offended me, that I felt usually it's always this. I think Thomas is being mean. That's kind of what it boils down to. I'm like, that was mean.
Yeah.
And if I feel like he's been mean to me, like, I don't feel good about our relationship until he apologizes and I can offer him forgiveness and we can hug it out and we're good again.
And I'm typically blissfully unaware that something's even occurred.
Yeah, he doesn't even know.
Like, it's not a purposeful, I'm doing this to be mean to you.
No, I agree. I don't think you've ever,
one time, for sure.
One time you have done something to purposefully be mean to me. Every other time was like, you just were pretty much only thinking of yourself.
Yeah,
like
maybe thoughtless or careless.
Careless, or putting yourself first or something like that, right? But when something like that happens, I feel a very real wall between us. And I feel like we are against each other. I feel like you're against me. And therefore I feel against you, and it just feels like we're not on the same team anymore until that thing gets resolved.
I can see that.
So, and it is like a heavy feeling for me. It affects how I feel about everything else, like the kids, the house, the cooking, I don't feel right in my life when you and me are not okay.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, I want to rush as quickly as I can to get things back to being okay between us.
Well, and when I know something's up,
oh yeah,
like I feel the same way. Like
yes.
I want to, whatever we can do to resolve this as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, you're definitely like that.
I just don't know most of the time until Lysandra's like, "Hey, we need to talk, honey. You know I love you, but," and then it's like, "Oh crap, what did I do?"
So early on in our marriage, we were not good at resolving conflict. I would say not as good as we are now, for sure.
Yeah, we definitely learned some things.
Yeah. But earlier on in the marriage, there were times when, rather than fix the issue the proper way, I would give you the silent treatment, thinking you would get the hint that I'm mad, or I would, I don't know, I would just I would try to get rid of the thing with the Lord. Like I would pray and I'd be like, God, just help me not to have these hurt feelings. Just take them away from me, Help me to forgive Thomas, even though he hasn't said sorry. And I would do that a lot, kind of thinking it was the high road, maybe.
Yeah.
And during those times, if you would want to have sex, I would do it, but I didn't want to, and I was mad at you. And it felt like sleeping with the enemy. It felt like this guy is not for me. He's against me, but we'll do this thing because I know it's a need, and I know that that's part of me, fulfilling his needs as a spouse. So I'm going to do this thing. So I have felt this way in our marriage, but it was a long time ago. It's probably been, 18 years ago, the last time I felt this way.
Yeah.
because we've resolved our conflicts so much better and so much quicker. I think I said that
quicker.
So much more quickly or quicker. So that is my perspective of sleeping with the enemy.
Yeah. And you did mention conflict, and it's like unresolved conflict can cause you to feel disconnected from your spouse.
Yeah.
And so we want to kind of kick things off. We got a few different things we're going to share with you and talk about today, but we've noticed kind of 3 ways that unresolved conflict spills over into the bedroom. And the first way is through emotional distance, which then leads to a physical disconnection.
Oh yeah.
And it is interesting. We just recently, when at Relationship Refresh down here in Flagler Beach last month, we were talking about man versus wife and the differences between men and women for the most part. And one of those differences is in the area of sex and this emotional connection, right? And so for women, they typically need to feel emotionally close to get into the physical side of things.
I do.
Whereas for men, and this is true of me, I feel emotionally close after the physical connection has taken place. So here you've got this emotional distance, which creates physical disconnection, I think, especially in women. And so when you have that conflict that's unresolved, spouses often build these emotional walls. And a lot of times it's silently.
It was for me.
So like I never knew a lot of times. No, I've learned. So we're 22 years into this marriage. We've been together for 30 plus or whatever it is now. 22 years into marriage, I've learned how to better pick up on the signals that there's something going on with you. But especially early on, those first 4 or 5 years before I really started to work on myself, I didn't notice, and so the wall would go up, and I had no clue, no idea what was happening.
Yeah. So, I was trying to think of something came into my mind. Oh, I know what I was going to say. For me, conflict, unresolved conflict is always the thing that made me feel like sleeping with the enemy. I don't think I ever felt like I was sleeping with the enemy for any other reason. It was always unresolved conflict.
Yeah.
And it could be from different things. But I want to ask you this question. This is what came into my mind while you were talking. And then I lost it for a second. Are you able to enjoy sex and want sex when we are like fighting?
I would say I'm at a stage in our relationship where if I think you're not enjoying sex, I have a hard time enjoying sex.
What about early on?
It just feels like I'm just using you at that point then, okay. Which doesn't feel good to a person who really loves somebody.
Mm-hmm. Early on, could you have sex when we were mad at each other or fighting?
Probably.
And it wouldn't.
Yeah, because I was definitely a lot more selfish then. I'm not going to say I'm not selfish now because I'm very selfish still. But I was definitely a lot more self-focused, selfish, in those ways for sure. Yeah,
and I mean you're way less selfish than you used to be. Like it's not even comparable. But it's just interesting though, because like if I were mad at you or I would never want to have sex with you, and yet if you were mad at me, you could still want to have sex with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is I think it's the difference between men and women. It could be a personality thing.
It definitely could, but it's like even if I'm mad at you, like you're still sexy, so let's do this.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything for me. Like I could still think you're sexy. I don't know. I might not think you're sexy though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is like. It is tied for me.
Yeah, because you're very emotionally connected.
Yes. So like you think about all these rom-coms, right?
Yeah.
Like there could be 2 equally attractive men on these rom-coms, right? And there's like one guy who's the bad guy and one guy who is like loving and kind.
Yeah.
The loving and kind guy is more attractive to most women.
to you for sure. Some women like the bad boy, right? So
yeah, but I'm not talking about like the guy riding a motorcycle. I'm talking about the jerk, like the person who's cheating on women, using them. I don't think anyone thinks that man is attractive.
I mean, there are definitely women who are drawn to that type for whatever reason.
Yeah, they may need counseling though, like legit.
Yeah, probably.
Probably they have something in their past that's causing them to.
But for men, like we typically live in compartments, and so it's like we may be angry and fighting over here, but once it's time to step into the sex compartment, that's really all that we're focused in on.
Yeah, and I don't get
and
that.
we may then move back into the argument or angry spot.
So you like have sex, and then as soon as it's over, you're like, I hate you again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, which typically women cannot do that.
Right, because everything is connected. And so especially for women, there is that disconnect that makes it, I think, very difficult and can lead to feeling used and all the stuff, the feelings that go along with that.
And yet, the longer that we've been married and the more that you are growing as a person, the less selfish you're becoming.
Yeah.
And the less you're likely to want to sleep with, me if I'm upset. Does that mean you're becoming more like a woman?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of estrogen in this house, 4 teenage daughters and a wife. So yeah, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, but I don't think so. I hope not. I would like to say I'm just becoming a better human.
Yes, so more like a woman.
No. Oh, okay, yeah.
What did I just do there?
Yeah.
That was a joke. Okay. Let's get back on
I would say more like Jesus, but if you feel like you're that savior, whatever.
Yeah, we all want to be more like Jesus. Okay, so let's get back on track here. Thank you for answering my questions. You were very honest, and we appreciate that. I think it's nice for women to hear a man being honest about this kind of stuff. Sometimes men are real closed off and don't want to talk about it.
Well, I would say that if you're a man, or if this is true of your husband, like if you can just have sex and you don't really care about how your spouse is feeling, how your wife is feeling in the moment, and about sex itself and about your connection. Like, I think there's some real work that needs to take place inside of you. Like, you really need to evaluate what's going on there. Because if you truly love somebody, especially when it comes to something that's so personal, so intimate, like there's nothing else in life like sex between two people. There's something unique about it. And so like if you can have sex and you don't care if she's enjoying it, and you don't care if she's angry or upset with you or close to you, like I think there's a real problem there.
Absolutely. Yep. So emotional distance in the relationship, especially for a woman, leads to reduced affection. Okay. And think about this. When you are emotionally distant, there's conflict that hasn't been resolved. How often are you cuddling? Never. Right?
Yeah, probably not.
Holding hands is just not even on the table, let alone like cuddling up. And then there's just this decrease in sex, because why would I want to be close to someone that I feel hurt by right now? Why would I want to be close to somebody who's treated me like a jerk? And over time, resentment or emotional pain can create really a chill in the bedroom. And it's just icy in there. Even when no one maybe is even angry anymore, it can turn to just this icebox, or you're numb. Like you're just numb to it. There's no fire there.
Well, and that's one of those things where it's like we counsel couples, and we've had multiple couples, like a surprising number of couples where it's like they haven't had sex in a year or 18 months, or like one couple was like 6 years. And it's just like, how in the world did you get to that place?
Right.
Like something is truly wrong when you're going that long without any sexual activity between the two of you. Now, I know there's medical issues and all that kind of stuff. We've talked about that a little bit in the past in some of our sex Q&As and stuff like that you can go back and listen to. Like, I know there are certain health things that make actual, like, sex, what we think of as normal, like, this is what sex is, painful or impossible. But, like, I'm talking about you're going years without any sexual contact at all. So it just shows that there's some sort of disconnect between the two of you. And so you have that to start with. The second thing has to do with mismatched expectations or maybe power struggles that are taking place. And so you have these unresolved issues that can manifest as control or resistance in the bedroom. And one partner might withhold intimacy as a form of protection or power.
That's what I did.
Be either one of those.
I did that early on.
While the other feels rejected or confused. And so sex becomes this battleground instead of a connection point. And, 1 Corinthians 7, talks about the fact that it shouldn't be a battleground. Mm-hmm. Like, it should be a place where we are mutually loving each other, fulfilling each other's needs. You're only withholding for a certain time to concentrate on your spiritual relationship, but you're agreed upon it's for a short time.
With a point of reconnection later.
Exactly. Yeah. But here you've got this battleground taking place instead of connecting. And this leads to tension, avoidance, even passive-aggressive behavior that damages trust and vulnerability. And so now we're compounding whatever the issue is and creating more problems that we're going to have to deal with and take care of later.
So I think early on in our marriage, I felt so powerless. Because and we talk about this in our book, Happily Never After. Because at the beginning, Thomas was all about winning fights. And there has, it's like, if he's going to always win, that means I'm always going to lose. And that's how it was for a while. And I think that feeling powerless like that, I tried whatever I could think of. And withholding affection was one thing I could do. I knew he wanted to hold my hand. He wanted me to rub his back. He loves physical touch. And I would withhold that, thinking it would give me some more power in this relationship. And then I'm not sure if I withheld sex. I definitely would show that I wasn't interested in it at certain times, like if I felt like you were being mean to me.
Yeah.
But that control, that speaks volumes to me.
Well, power struggle. Looking at it from your point of view, that makes total sense to me. I'm not saying it is the right course of action.
It wasn't.
But it makes sense to me of why you or another woman, or even some men, would go that route when they feel like they're powerless. Like, I want to try to control this and at least, gain some leverage in this relationship that we have. So I don't think it's not the right decision.
It's not good. No, it's not
but
healthy.
I understand it.
Right. Okay, so conflict that hasn't been addressed, it lingers like background noise in your relationship. This unspoken tension comes, and that unspoken tension creates anxiety or insecurity or other things too. But that tension can make partners feel on edge or insecure or unwanted. So if I was going to use that power struggle and try to use, have some power in the relationship and withhold affection, did you feel insecure at all or unwanted or confused?
Definitely. Yeah. I think all of the above. Well, because of who I am, maybe not insecure, but it could make me feel like I'm undesirable. A lot of confusion, like, why doesn't she want sex? Why doesn't she want, to hold my hand or to cuddle or to touch feet, while we're laying there, which are typical things that we do in our relationship.
Right.
So when that's not happening, there's a little bit of confusion, like what is going on? What's at the basis of this?
Yeah. Okay, so in the bedroom, this can show up like difficulty relaxing or being present. This can come in as performance anxiety, decreased libido, fear of rejection. If we can't talk about real things, how can I let my guard down here in the bedroom?
So it definitely all has an effect on everything. Which can cause multiple problems in your sexual relationship.
And so often we'll have people come in and they'll be like, we're doing fine, but our sex is off. Like, we haven't had sex, or she doesn't want sex, or he doesn't want sex, or whatever. And it's like, yeah, your problem is not sex.
Right.
Your problem is elsewhere, and it has filtered down into the bedroom. Like it's from something else. And typically we try to find the
because that is the most intimate thing. And so if there's a problem there, that's never the root. Mm-mm. That's always a fruit cause of you've lost connection somewhere else.
Yep.
Where is that?
Right. Track it down.
And so then you can go about figuring that out. And so maybe that's what you need to do today. If you're feeling like, hey, I am sleeping with the enemy, like there's this disconnect physically and sexually between us, you've got to run that down and figure out what is actually causing that. Mm-hmm. This is the thing too, when we're talking about unresolved conflict, it doesn't just stay in conversations. It seeps into the most vulnerable areas of a relationship, including sex. And healing often starts outside the bedroom with open communication, empathy, and mutual effort to rebuild trust. But you've got to, once you recognize it, and for us, it was like, there's a lot of times I didn't even recognize it. Once I recognized it, then we could work to track down, okay, what is the disconnect? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what you have to do as well. So think about your sexual relationship. Like, how is it between you and your spouse?
Yeah.
Is it something that is good, that happens frequently, that you look forward to? Or is it like, oh man, I don't want to do this. And if you don't want to do that with the person that you're supposed to be closest to than anybody else, what's the reason you don't want to?
Yeah. There's a different reason, most likely. Maybe one spouse in your relationship is viewing sex as a duty and is just going through the motions because they feel like they have no choice. There is emotional cost of duty-driven intimacy. Like, that's not going to lead to a healthy relationship. So we've talked about the fact that probably where this is coming from is unresolved conflict. And that could be in any different area of your relationship. We have conflicts over literally everything.
Yeah.
So where's the unresolved conflict? That's probably where it's coming from. But what happens when, like, this is how it is? One person or both are doing this because it's their duty. They have to do this thing. Because when one partner engages in physical closeness out of obligation rather than genuine desire, the results, the repercussions are profound and long lasting. You might be keeping peace on the surface, like, okay, he wants sex, so I'm going to give it to him, but I don't want it. And it's keeping peace on the surface, but it often erodes the emotional foundation of the relationship underneath. So you're not actually helping your relationship. You need to get at why you are sleeping with the enemy. Why does it feel duty bound? And have the conversation, the discussion with your spouse about it, which we are going to talk at the end of this episode about the practical steps you need to take to rebuild things.
Well, and one of the things it does when you sleep with the enemy without really dealing with whatever the issue is it brings this loss of emotional safety.
Yeah.
Like, I no longer feel emotionally safe. Mm-hmm. When it becomes a duty, the bedroom stops feeling like a place of connection and starts feeling like a performance or a transaction.
Yeah.
Which now and think about this, you're making your spouse, and I would say probably more often than not, it's the husband's, right? And so you're making your wife feel like a prostitute.
Absolutely.
Where it's just like you're performing this transaction, to keep the peace, or give this idea of that there's peace in the relationship, or whatever else.
Well, it can be like, you owe me because I got you flowers.
Yeah.
Or like, I took you on a date night.
Like, you didn't think that dinner was free, did you?
Yeah, you say that to me all the time. But if you're not in an emotionally safe place, that's not funny. That's hurtful. And I think about men who are Christians who follow Jesus, and it's so sad what people can do with mishandling the word of God. And they can take that 1 Corinthians chapter 7, those verses about how a woman does not own her own body, but a man owns the woman's body, and the man does not own his body, but the woman owns her husband's body. I'm paraphrasing that, but they'll take that one verse out of context and say, your body's not yours, it's mine. We're going to do this thing. And
well, what's funny is like it's typically used the one way where the woman doesn't have control of her body, and they kind of neglect the whole, hey, as a husband, you don't have power over your own body, but the wife does. In other words, hey, if she's saying no, she has power over your body, and it's like, no, you shouldn't do it.
Right. But they'll take this out of context and like guilt or shame women into, and it comes down to rape in marriage, which is very sad, but that's what it comes down to. So that's not okay. Like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
This is wrong. This is sin. It's wrong, and it has to be called out. But that's what it becomes. That's what it becomes when it's like this transaction.
Well, and here's the thing, like when you have a couple who really loves each other, and there are times, right, where one of you just doesn't want it for whatever reason. It could be exhaustion. It could be you're upset. It could be a number of things.
Stress.
But you have this kind of performance or this transaction, and once that's picked up on, like that can leave both partners feeling safe. So it's like if I pick up that Lysandra is really not into this and doesn't want sex, but yet she's still doing it, it's like that makes me feel ick.
Yeah. You said safe, but you meant unsafe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One person feels pressure, the other feels unwanted but tolerated,
Yeah, that's not a good feeling.
And you kind of have this inner conversation that's happening where you have spouse A that's like, I'm here, but not because I want to be. And you have the other spouse who's like, they're saying yes, but I don't feel chosen. And so this emotional safety just starts to erode away, where it's like, this is no longer a safe thing in our marriage.
Oh yeah. And as that happens, resentment comes in. I mean, that's where you resent your spouse. They become the enemy.
You're right.
You resent sex itself. So this partner giving out of obligation, they begin to feel unsafe. So therefore they're resentful. They feel used. They feel emotionally disconnected, and maybe they don't voice it, but it will show up in body language and tone of voice, withdraw in other parts of the relationship. It can be passive aggressive, right?
Yeah.
I was totally passive aggressive in the beginning of our marriage, like so bad. I look back at it now and I'm ashamed of it. I wish I was never like that. At that point in my emotional maturity, I didn't know what else to do.
Well, and here's the bottom line. We got married, we were kids, and we were both learning and growing. We both made mistakes. We both failed. The thing is, we were both determined to stick it out and to make the marriage work and to work on ourselves and grow ourselves. And that is the only reason we've been able to work our way through it.
Absolutely.
So it's not like you're to blame or I'm to blame. We both made mistakes for sure.
Absolutely. So the passive aggressive things that you're doing it's not going to help this situation. It's going to make it worse. And just keep in mind that sex without mutual desire slowly turns into an emotional burden rather than a bonding experience. And it's not just the person who's giving the gift of sex, like, okay, I don't want this, but I'm going to do this anyway. Like, that person feels bad, but so does the other spouse.
Yeah.
Like it's ick. Like you said, it gives you the ick, both sides.
And so you make a great point there, and it comes down to, over time, if this just keeps happening, you have this erosion of desire and connection.
Oh, yeah.
When it's consistently duty-driven instead of a delight and something to look forward to and enjoy, it becomes emotionally flat or even painful over time. And this damages, first of all, trust. Hey, can I be honest about what I want or don't want?
Mm-hmm. And some women feel like they can't be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's probably pretty rare that a man would be in this situation where they're like, I feel like I can't tell my wife what I do want or don't want, and I'm doing this out of duty. I think it's much more rare for a man to be in that position, but it could be.
I think maybe he could not talk about the desires that he actually has.
Like fantasies.
Or, just different things he might want to try or whatever else. And so you just kind of stick to the basic routine thing. just to kind of fulfill that duty. So I could see it being both ways for sure.
Okay.
But this is kind of, I'm just gonna throw this in here because whenever we talk about sex, and especially I think it's important to say in a situation like this where you have people who are only having sex with their spouse out of duty, that, you know, husbands, you need to make sure that when your wife should always walk away from a sexual experience with you feeling cherished, feeling loved, feeling built up. If she's coming away feeling used or ashamed or guilty about something, then we've crossed the line and we're doing something that we definitely shouldn't do. And so those are things that take into consideration. But, you know, that trust being eroded away over time because we're consistently doing this and fulfilling this need out of duty. Secondly, the thing that erodes over time and is damaged is desire. You know, if this is what intimacy means, I don't want it. If this is what sex means, I don't want it. Because you do start to feel like a prostitute. You do feel like you're just something to be used. That there's really no love here for me and who I am. You only want me for sex to fulfill your own desires and whatever else. And then thirdly, what's damaged is connection. You know, we're physically close right now and physically close in this moment, but I feel alone. And I don't know that there's, you know, a worse feeling in a marriage than that.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a sad place to be for sure. It's gonna, if you have these issues and it's going to lead to like a lot less spontaneous affection, more conflict, a sense of emotional loneliness. Even if you have a physically active relationship, it can bring shame and guilt on both sides.
Yeah.
Right. So the obligated partner feels shame for not wanting intimacy or guilt for not meeting expectations. And the other partner feels unworthy, rejected, or ashamed for being the source of pressure or need. They feel guilty that they want sex or guilty that they need sex. So it's creating this cycle, right? Where neither feels truly seen, accepted, or emotionally fulfilled, probably not physically fulfilled either. And so it's just it's a bad situation. Sleeping with the enemy, it's a bad situation.
well, and I know if I even get a hint that you're not enjoying yourself while we're having sex, like I feel guilty right away.
Really?
Yeah. And so it is hard to get into it when you feel like the person that you're with isn't into it.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
So I think about Genesis chapter number 2, verse 24 and 25, that talks about a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And then it goes on to say, the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. And the idea behind this is, hey, we have complete intimacy, and it's a reflection of love and unity, that there's no shame there at all. That's the way that it should be. When you have a physical sexual relationship with your husband or with your wife, that's the way it should be. Like, there is no shame here. Why? Because everything is being done out of love.
That's right. So that's how it should be.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not that way. So how can we get there? How can we, we need to look at some practical ways to build trust and desire and safety for your physical relationship. I know this is what I'm always looking for. I know how important it is to know the why of things and how we got here and all of that. But this is like my meat and potatoes. I always want to know okay, fine, but what can I do?
How can we get to where we need to go? Yeah.
What am I supposed to do now, right? What do I do now? That's what we want to answer in this portion, because we are kind of winding down. We're running out of time here, but this is an important part that we want to share with you. Before you can ever rebuild your sexual relationship, you have to rebuild emotional safety first.
Yeah.
You cannot have a good sex life if both of you do not feel emotionally safe.
Well, there's a reason for that. I mean, desire thrives in emotional safety.
Yes, it does. That's right. And we know that, don't we?
Yeah.
Because we are both very emotionally safe, and desire is thriving.
Yeah.
Even though we're 40 and 44, we still got that desire.
Well, and when you feel emotionally safe, it leads to that fun, that creativity, that you're willing to put yourself out there, even in like silly ways.
Yes.
Which we do.
It is really fun to get silly in the bedroom a little bit here and there. So I think about emotional safety in a marriage, and I think oftentimes, like, at least for me, my mind right away goes to like some poor woman who's like being beat down and she's not being loved and cared for. But the reverse can totally be true, where a man is not emotionally safe in a relationship. And this looks to me like a woman who is passive aggressive toward her husband, or always berating him, or
criticizing him, putting him down,
sarcasm about like, oh, well, if that makes you a real man, okay. Or maybe criticizing him for not making enough money, or not spending enough time with the kids, or not blah 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 blah, right? The list goes on and on. That is a man who is not emotionally safe. So women, don't think like, oh, I can't do that to my husband, I don't have the ability to make him feel emotionally unsafe. Yes, you do. So check yourself. How are you treating your husband? Does he feel emotionally safe in your relationship? If not, you need to make some changes. Because without the emotional safety, physical closeness can feel forced, fragile, or even threatening, and it just desire is gone. So make sure that the first step is rebuilding that emotional safety. And how do we do that?
Well, you do that by, first of all, apologizing and taking ownership of past hurt. You got to do it without defensiveness. It starts with just apologizing.
This was the key for me. So I talked at the beginning of the episode about how the only time I felt like I was sleeping with the enemy was when we had these unresolved conflicts, and I felt like Thomas was being mean to me. Literally, if he just rolled over in bed and said, I'm sorry that I treated you that way, I know it was bad, I'd be like, okay, let's do this. Like, that's all it took for me. I just needed a sincere apology. It couldn't be fake.
Right, yeah. Don't just like tell your wife the words you think she wants to hear, so that she'll have sex with you. Like,
which I know him well enough to know when he's being real and not real. So like when he gave me a real apology, literally in seconds, the switch was flipped. I was ready to go. And I actually sometimes I think felt closer to you when you owned it like that and apologized, because then it was like, it just felt so good that you cared enough to recognize what you had done and apologize to me, and it made us even more close.
Well, when you can make yourself vulnerable and apologize without defensiveness, that allows your spouse to feel vulnerable and feel comfortable being vulnerable, right? So you are creating this place where emotional safety happens, and you're opening the door for your partner to let down their guard as well. And so part of that process after apologizing is just validating your partner's emotions.
This is so key, you guys. This is super important. I believe very firmly in this one.
So it's like even what I was saying earlier, where your response wasn't right. Like, I don't think it was the right thing to do, but I can see why you would feel that way, or why you would respond that way naturally. And even just little things like that, where it's like, I understand and see where you're coming from.
Means a lot.
But you're validating those emotions without minimizing or trying to fix something. It's like, I just recognize what you're going through. And you have to avoid blame or sarcasm during the conflict. We've got probably multiple episodes. We're on 255 right now. Probably multiple episodes on conflict resolution and how to do that, so we won't take time to go through all that, but making sure that you're doing that. I think this is key too, and part of that is making time for non-sexual affection.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna rebuild emotional safety.
So like, if the only physical touch you have with your spouse is sexual, like, then they're gonna that makes you feel like that's all you want me for.
I knew a woman who told me that if her husband came up behind her, like when she was doing dishes or whatever, and tried to kiss her, she would turn away and not let him kiss her. And I was like, oh, okay, why? Like, I was like, why? She's like, because if I let him kiss me, then I know he's going to try to have sex with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's like a lot of kind of dysfunctional dynamics happening there anyway. But basically, she had zero non-sexual affection.
Yeah. And part of rebuilding that emotional safety is them knowing, hey, I want to be close to you, but I also want you to feel completely safe with me.
Yes.
It's about creating that connection.
So another thing that you can start doing to help rebuild this emotional safety is reopen honest, non-pressured communication. We talk about communication a lot on our episodes. Communication is really the key to everything. You got to talk about everything. And the way you talk about it is really important. But physical intimacy can't flourish where people feel misunderstood or judged or silenced. Okay. If you feel silenced, why would you want to have sex with that person? Like,
right. Yeah.
It's just like, no. Talk about needs, fears, desires, all kinds of things, but talk about it outside the bedroom. And one thing that you can do to show your spouse, like, I'm open to actually hearing you, not just trying to use you for sex, is you can ask open-ended questions like, what helps you feel safe? What helps you feel close to me? Is there anything that I've done that made you feel unsafe or unseen? And then rather than shooting that down and being like, well, that's stupid. Why would that make you feel unsafe? No. Now you say, okay, I'm going to change that. If that's what it is for you, then I'm not doing that thing anymore. And use I statements instead of you accusations, right? So like, I feel like you're upset and you don't want to have sex, rather than like, you never want to have sex with me, right? There's a difference there.
Well, and you touched on something that is really good when you talk about asking open-ended questions. And it's the idea of just truly listening. Mm-hmm. Because nobody listens to anybody anymore.
I know.
And so if you truly take time to actually just listen to your spouse, don't interrupt them, don't try to fix whatever the issue is. Literally, you're not listening to respond, you're listening to understand them. That is going to do so much in rebuilding that emotional safety, because when somebody feels heard by somebody, they feel connected to them.
That's true.
And there's something so powerful about that, where you just shut up and listen and show me that you're listening. It's such a valuable thing.
Yeah. So good.
So I love that you touched on that. You also need to rebuild trust through consistent, respectful actions. Right? Because words only go so far.
Truth.
You have to have the words, but you need to back it up with how you live your life. It grows when actions consistently align with care, respect, and safety. And this is the thing. You want to be predictable in your behavior. So no more surprises or guilt tripping. No more making them wonder what version of you is walking into the house today.
Absolutely.
Or what version of you is walking around the corner now. And so that consistency. And you're keeping your word, even in the small things. What about this one? Respecting boundaries immediately and without pushback. You're showing that person, I respect you. I respect your boundaries. I respect who you are as a person. And all of this has to do with showing care outside the bedroom. Because if you show care outside of the bedroom, then that helps me to trust you once we get inside the bedroom.
That's right.
So you're doing that by helping with tasks, sharing appreciation, checking in emotionally, like how are you feeling? Mm-hmm. How's it going? Mm-hmm. All those things are key.
Yeah. And you can reignite desire through emotional connection, because desire isn't just physical. We talked about this at the beginning, mostly for women especially, but even for men, it's deeply emotional. And when couples feel emotionally distant, desire tends to fade.
Yeah.
So you've got to spend time, intentional quality time, non-sexual quality time. So it could be walks together, date nights, shared hobbies. But remember, you're not going to be like, I took you on a date, so now you owe me sex. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about investing in your relationship emotionally for the purpose of being closer to each other, not for the purpose of getting sex. So one thing that you can do too is express admiration an attraction verbally. I love you, or you're still beautiful, or I find you sexy, or whatever you want to say. And reminisce about past moments of connection and joy. When every time you have a moment of connection and joy and friendship in your marriage, you're not just getting that moment out of it. You can get decades out of that moment where you talk about it, you relive it, you talk about how amazing it was. And Thomas and I do that. That's one thing that we love to do, is we are constantly making new memories of connection and friendship, but we're also talking about the ones from the past and reliving them and like getting more use out of those connections. So talk about those things too. And then focus on being present, not just trying to fix things. Like I want more sex, so I'm going to be nice to you right now. No, but we're talking about being present for the purpose of being close to one another.
Right. And the emotional connection will then produce the physical connection, right? But the goal is not to be physically close. The goal is to be emotionally close. And the other is just a byproduct of that. Like, I want to be emotionally close to Lysandra. And because I am emotionally close to Lysandra, the physical closeness means that much more. Mm-hmm. And so what you need to do, though, when you start to step back into this physical relationship is probably don't just jump back in.
Yeah, don't jump into the bed.
Right? So you want to take small, pressure-free steps toward physical intimacy. You know, if you have a history of making your spouse feel used sexually, you got to be so careful, because it's easy for them to feel like that's all you're after.
Mm-hmm. And bam, you're the enemy again.
Right? And so you're going to take these small steps. If you rush or demand physical closeness, that's going to backfire on you. So take it slow. It can help both partners re-engage with trust and joy. So we've already talked about the non-sexual, touching and all that kind of stuff. But with this, you're going to start with affectionate touch, like holding hands, kissing, cuddling without expecting more. It's just like, hey, you're walking from your car to Walmart, into Walmart. Like, grab your wife's hand and just hold her hand. I doubt she's going to expect sex, on the way into Walmart. It's probably not going to rush you into the family bathroom there, right?
Ew, no.
But it's a way you're showing that, hey, I want to be physically close to you. I feel emotionally close to you, and so I want to hold your hand. And so those things, just agree on small steps forward, checking in emotionally after. Like, if you've been distant and you've kind of been enemies for a while, like, you may need to check in and say, hey, how did it feel when I held your hand while we were walking into Walmart together? And if you need to, use a pause word to stop things immediately without shame or tension. Like, hey, we just need to, that's far enough right now. Mm-hmm. Just practice mutual consent and invitation, not obligation. What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing because we are emotionally safe in our relationship. Both of us are close and we're safe. So we can make jokes sexually, and if you are not in that place, don't try this. But Thomas has always told me that the safe word in our sex life is keep going, or go harder, or faster.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, I will.
Yeah. So he's like, the safe word is just like, go harder. So that doesn't work.
Way to just ruin everything we're talking about. I was just ruining everything.
But it just made me laugh because you're talking about a pause word, and I'm like, what would the pause word be?
For us, yeah. But here's the thing. You want your spouse to know, we don't have to rush anything. I want us to feel good about this together.
Yeah.
So You're just taking it slow, and you're checking in to see how everything makes them feel all along the way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's the most important, everybody. You ready for the most important thing? Invite God into the process.
Yeah.
Seriously, this is the most important thing. Pray together, even briefly, over your sex life. And Thomas was just sharing this at Relationship Refresh in Flagler Beach. And he said, the first time I was like, let's pray over our sex life. And he was like, what? This feels weird.
It feels super wrong, don't it? But that's part of that is my upbringing and what we were taught about sex. So
yeah. But you can pray something like, dear Lord, please just help us reclaim our marriage. Help us reclaim our sex life as a place of unity, safety, and joy, not as a place of tension or silence or a battlefield anymore. Change it from a battlefield to somewhere that's precious and beloved for us. Teach us to love each other well in every way, not just in sex. So, praying over your sex life is really important. It should be a regular part of your couple's prayer together. But you need to seek forgiveness because most likely there's a reason, something that you need to own and ask for forgiveness for that's led you to this place.
Yeah.
Be patient with each other. Ask for unity from the Lord. Consider reading scripture together about love and grace and intimacy and closeness. You could read scripture from the Song of Solomon about sex. You could also read from just portions that talk about how a man and a woman are supposed to interact. And that can be a real help to you. But don't leave God out of the bedroom. He created sex. He designed it. He's the one who came up with it.
Said it was good.
He said it was good. He should be involved in this process of healing as well.
But rebuilding trust, desire, and safety takes time, empathy, and consistent connection. It's less about getting back to normal and more about building something deeper and healthier than ever before.
And it can be. It can be better than it ever was.
Totally.
Listen, maybe this episode has really hit a nerve for you and your spouse. We want to offer you a bonus resource that you can get by emailing us. It's Rebuilding Connection and Marriage Guide. And it's going to help you take these steps slowly and carefully to rebuilding that connection and making it so you're not sleeping with the enemy, but you're sleeping with your best friend. That sounded kind of gross.
Yeah.
Sleeping with your best friend, like as in your spouse. But
yes.
But you can email us at info@familymeeting.org in order to get that Rebuilding Connection in Marriage Guide. It will help you to take this episode one step further and really apply it to your relationship.
And family meeting tonight is just you and your spouse, and you're just having a conversation about your sex life. How do you feel about your sex life? When you start to talk about it and start to think about your sex life, how does it make you feel? If it makes you feel anything other than excited, happy, fulfilled, connected,
safe,
then you need to have a conversation about why.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get to the root of what that is. And once you get to the root of what that is, you can start to take these practical steps that we've shared with you to get to the place where you do feel safe, where you do feel joy and excited and fulfilled in your physical relationship.
Thanks for joining us today as we talked about sleeping with the enemy. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And this may have been a really helpful episode for you. You may have been struggling with sex in your relationship. Maybe this is a great episode for you to share on your social media. Invite your friends and family to listen on their own.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or email us at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call us, you can send a voice message at 904-257-3062.
And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we talk about loving your child enough to say no. Sometimes that's hard.
Yeah, it's easy for you. You say no about everything, so...
Whoa, shots fired?
We'll hear about it next time together.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
All right, meeting adjourned. How about you guys? How's your sex life? You want to share it in the comments?
Yeah.
They may or may not.
We'll continue the discussion there. What are the tips that you have? Maybe we missed something about rebuilding that emotional trust and safety in a relationship. We'd love to hear and learn from your experience. Yes. So drop the comments there. We'll continue the conversation. Until next week.
Bye.